ranger here at McKenzie River. I first of all want to just say thank you to all the partners for showing up, right? I mean, this is pretty amazing. Politicians, aspiring politicians, locals helping locals, and long-term recovery group. We got all kinds of people here. So I just like that, right? We outnumber the public here, but that's fine, right? It shows that, hey, when we ask the people to show up and come and be a part of this, people do. And so that makes me feel really good. It makes me feel supported as part of the community up here. So thank you all for being here. So they asked me to talk a little bit about, just how the big picture of forest fires go and managing them. And you all have kind of, unfortunately, been seeing that firsthand. So just talk a little bit about, every fire on the National Forest gets managed. So whether it's in the wilderness or whether it's, a Lookout Fire or Holiday Farm, we manage every fire. So what that looks like is we'll dispatch our resources that we have on the district, which we have a 20-person hand crew and 2 fire engines, and then of course, some auxiliary folks that we have in our program. Go out there and stand up. What we call it's an incident command system. There's 1 through 5, and it goes backwards, right? 5 is the smallest, 1 is the biggest. So a type 5 incident would be like a lightning strike where we have fewer than 10 people out there going out there and working on it. Type 5 incident commander has a responsibility for managing that fire and putting it out. And then it goes when the complexity rises a little bit, it goes to a type 4, right? Maybe we have a helicopter, maybe we add a couple engines or a bulldozer or something like that. Then it goes up to a type 3. Then we're getting to be fairly sizable. For those of you that were around last year for the W470 response that we had, that was a type 3 team. You're starting to get more professional and bringing a little more resources, but still not going to have a lot of the horsepower and ability to get those things that you've come to be accustomed to with some of the bigger fires. So those are the ones where they're like, the ones we try to manage in-house. We have type 5, 4, 3 ICs at the district, and we can kind of build that and put something together and string something together. So typically that kind of, those teams up to that 4, 5, or 3, 4, are going to be in that, first week or less, right? We're talking the first 24, 48, 72 hours. And if we're successful in putting fires out, that you may never know anything ever, just that the type 5 IC went out to a lightning strike and they put it out in an afternoon, you guys wouldn't hear about it, right? Unless you're watching that Watch Duty app. It can be good. A Freudian slip for me, I call it Duty Watch. Because it just causes problems in the system, right? And we don't have the horsepower to have those public affairs folks. We maybe call on Jessica to be available, and so we got one person maybe answering the phone, but all we got. So really that's kind of what we do in those initial attacks. We try and manage the fire. If we can't catch it, that's when we get into some of those bigger teams, right? Like we're actually moving this year, and Adam is going to speak next as one of our complex incident management team ICs. So we used to have type 1 and type 2 teams, but we're changing that nationally just to be complex incident management teams. So basically it's the similar setup, but we're just not differentiating between those, the complexities of the type 1 and type 2 fires. And those are things that you'll start to notice a lot of those opportunities for like Facebook Live meetings and partner meetings and public affairs teams that are running trap lines, signs going up. You'll start to see a lot of that support and a lot of that management of the fire. You'll see a big fire camp like the one we had for Lookout that was down in Walterville, or we had it up here at the airstrip or Stroom Flat. We've had Terwilliger Fire was actually at the golf course. That's when you start to see the larger teams to show up and provide that support. That's typically when folks like OSFN will join in that when it gets to those complex incident management teams. That's when we start talking to evacuations and those kind of things with some of those larger fires. So really the public meetings, virtual options, the communication, and all that kind of stuff just ramps up as we get more complex and we get the teams in for those fire management, or the management of those fires. A couple of other things that I think we've gotten questions about before when we get to those larger teams is why do they rotate out every 14 days? And that's just how we manage fatigue, right? So we bring in teams for a 14-day assignment, and then they get at least 3 days off. I think we're starting to rotate the teams into a 7 days off, right? So that we can to get them that rest that they need, because we're working 14 days straight, 16-hour days. That will start to tire people out, and so then we'll rotate. So those larger teams will rotate out every 2 weeks. You'll also see, like last year, I would be an agency administrator, which is the federal, I guess, the point of contact for that team. The team works for the agency administrator who works for the forest that the fire is on. And like last year, you would see me stepping away and not being an agency administrator because I'm supporting my employees that have been evacuated, and we're putting fire line around the ranger station, those kind of things. So you'll see other agency administrators from outside of our area come in. You saw that last year. And so sometimes that can be confusing to folks. Like, why is this the district ranger from Sisters coming over and managing this fire? It's like, well, because he's managing the fire, I'm managing the employees and the community and things like that, right? To try and separate those things. And we're also trying to manage our own fatigue over that long period of time. Last year was a tough one. It took me basically all of November and December to recover from the lookout fire last year and what we put into that. Another thing that I really wanted, I guess, before we kind of close off and pass it on to Adam, I think he's next, is that it's really become apparent recently, and we really started these talking points for me last year. There's an arc to a fire, right? The start, the fight, the extended fight, and then there's the recovery and the burned area emergency response and opening the area back up and removing danger trees or hazard trees from roads and things like that. And so really just want to talk about the fire as it's a long process, right? Obviously you may see some of the post-fire danger tree work that we're doing right now from Holiday Farm. It took us that long to get all the funding and get the machine going to treat those danger trees. And we're going to start up actually on the H.G. Andrews and the lookout fire stuff this year as well. And we're getting better. Darren, it's one of those things that for all of us, we're getting better at this, unfortunately, right? It's not something we want to get better at, but we are getting better at it just because how these fires have changed over time and the response that we've had and how we need to change that response with the severity of these fires. So I think I'll just leave it at that, and I'll be around too.